Magic! I'm a magician. What is up, peoples of YouTube? I'm the Motorcycle Mech, and today I think I've discovered my own little conspiracy theory. And what you might hear might shock you, but you know, there's always something for everybody. I like to keep it interesting. But when I do get to that, I do want to know what your guys' opinion on this, so comment down below what you think. And before I get too far, if you're new to this channel or have been watching for a very long time, hit the subscribe button down below. Or don't, I don't care. It is your choice. But I do upload videos every Tuesday and Thursday around 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's PM. But what conspiracy theory could I have concocted today? What's going through my mind? Well, it's about Harley. I think we might have a little bit of some crap on our hands. For us that ride Harleys, we absolutely love them, but we also love adding power to the motorcycle. So, without further ado, here is my conspiracy theory. In 2018, I was looking to get a new motorcycle. I had a Sportster, and I necessarily didn't need to get a Heritage. You know, I could have got like a Street Glide, Road King, Road Glide, but those all came with something that I wanted in this, but I got it a lot cheaper. I mean, I got a 114 for the price. But here's the big problem. In 2016, Harley was being investigated by the EPA for compliance issues with a Pro Super Tuner, or some people want to call it the SEPS. But what this Super Tuner was would allow you to go in, modify everything on your motorcycle. It was a badass tuner. But for some reason, the EPA didn't like that. They didn't like that dealers were installing it, so Harley took a hit, I guess, for the dealers. I'm not sure, but I mean, they sold the part, and it's a Harley part, so that's when we came to 2017, when Harley got fined $15 million, but then the EPA took back $3 million of it. So Harley-Davidson, the MoCo, had to pay $12 million in fines. Everyone was sitting there like, man, that's a huge fine. That's big. That's, you know, that's monstrous. But they forgot to look at the numbers. And my conspiracy comes from money. Moolah de Niro. You see, I know the Milwaukee 8 wasn't being researched for 1 year, and then all of a sudden came out. So the Milwaukee 8 had probably been being researched for, I don't know, like, I mean, I would give it at least a couple years. But it just happens that the investigation happened, and the EPA fined Harley that $12 million in 2017. And I know what you're saying, ooh, $12 million, that's a lot of money. But when you look at what Harley was making during that time frame, well, it might shock you. In 2016 and 2015, Harley's average was about $4.6+ billion a year in revenue. Well, sitting here like, that $12 million doesn't seem like it's so much. That's not even a percentage. Like, that's not even 1%. 1% of $1 billion is 10 million. Now I go to almost $5 billion, $4.75 billion. That's a fraction of a percent of what Harley was making. So it was extremely a slap on the wrist, maybe even like just a tap on the wrist. But that tap on the wrist was dramatized to be something that was extremely large. It was a huge fine from the EPA. Then they had to buy back all the tuners, which honestly, do you think everyone sold back their tuners? I mean, I sure the fuck wouldn't. That was a Boss tuner that Harley sold, and you could get it with your bike. It worked just like this thing does. But I'm kind of fighting the system right now, because why should I get punished? And why the Screaming Eagle Pro Street Tuner is absolute garbage. And then, like I said in the other video, it's not garbage for wanting to tune Screaming Eagle parts. It's a great thing, but the problem is that when you go into actual performance parts, it can't do anything. All the regulations up for it are within EPA standards. I'm sure eventually someone will find it, but currently there is no way to unlock that tuner to be able to make it run any further than EPA standards. See, that Screaming Eagle tuner couldn't make my bike do that. Along with that came a lot of issues because it was such a high power, high performance motor with the Milwaukee 8. Try to choke it up and then give it a little more power because you're trying to go through the choke. It causes the bike to run hotter, and at that point your bike's always running lean because it's trying to stay within EPA stuff, so your motor gets hot quick. And there are times when I couldn't even touch my motor. And that's why I go back to this fine came in 2017 when the Milwaukee 8 was being released in the touring model motorcycles. Thus comes my conspiracy theory that Harley actually worked with the EPA to help them provide a monopoly over the Milwaukee 8 engine. No, this wasn't the dealerships, this was the motor company itself. They saw some declining sales over the time period and declining sales of accessories for their motorcycles, and so they needed to do something bigger. They needed to create a market for themselves. To the untrained eye, the people look at that 12 million, you're like, man, that's a lot lot of money, but to Harley, that was nothing. So that's when we came down to where I'm at with this whole thought process, okay? In 2017, Harley was at $4.75 billion in revenue. So that little fine they got was really nothing, but when that fine hit, everything that was put onto Harley motorcycles had to become EPA compliant. So the EPA said you had to put compliant things on there. Then Harley took it one step further, saying that if you do not put EPA compliant stuff on there, we can destroy your warranty, blacklist it, not give it to you. We hook your computer up and see that you aren't doing something that's EPA compliant, for that voids your powertrain warranty. There's other things that are warranted on here, like brakes and stuff like that, but I'm sure they could find a way to do it. So Harley created that EPA compliance dominance. And in 2017, when a brand new motor comes out, all the companies don't know what is out there for it. And only a couple companies do EPA compliant parts. So that's when you create the market within itself for the Milwaukee 8. I can go out and buy accessories for my bike all day. It's not going to void my warranty. I can buy different handlebars, windshields, saddlebags, all that stuff. But what really matters is the powertrain. So that's why Harley, I feel like, worked with the EPA to create their own market. How do I know this? Because Screaming Eagle parts went out the roof compared to previous years for sales. In 1 year, Harley went from 2018 to 2017. Harley's annual sales went from $4.75 billion to $5.75 plus billion. They went up $1 billion just because of the EPA compliance. So that slap on the wrist, that $12 million, made them another $1 billion. Along with that is you could not buy anything that was not EPA compliant, otherwise Harley would 100% void your warranty. If you bought an exhaust, like on my motorcycle, a certain exhaust can technically void the warranty on it. And so Harley kind of ruined itself, because then everyone's buying these Screaming Eagle parts that suck donkey ass. Like the street cannons for my bike were doo-doo, but I had to get them because I want to maintain my warranty. I had to get the Screaming Eagle Pro Street Tuner because I want to maintain my warranty. And also too is Harley made parts more expensive, because there was catalytic converters in my original mufflers, my Screaming Eagle Pro, or the street cannons, whatever the hell they want to call them, Pro Street Cannons, whatever. So that upped the cost, because now instead of having any catalytic converters inside my head pipes, they're not my mufflers. And that muffler that maybe normally costs, a couple $100 to get for some slip-ons now increases the price to $500 or $600 for slip-ons. I know S&S was the first company to really put out EPA slip-ons for this bike, and those things were like $600 for some slip-ons. I mean, you gotta be out of your damn mind to pay $600 for slip-on mufflers. For $600, I could almost get a full exhaust for this bike. So Harley had cornered the market. That $12 million fine netted them $1 billion, and the sales stayed up the year after because it's a new motor. And normally with new motors, you have the ability to tinker around and add power adders, intake, stuff like that, help cool your motor down, run better, and not get your pee-pee slapped. Well, now you had to get the Screaming Eagle parts because of EPA compliance that Harley was obeying, and it created their own market, netting them $1 billion. So that's what really confuses me, and that's where my conspiracy comes from, that Harley did work with the EPA because we're the suckers, we're the ones paying for it. $12 million was a slap on the wrist. Don't let anyone else try to con you and say oh, that was a lot of money, because to them it wasn't. $12 million compared to $1 billion, let alone almost $5. And we became the suckers, the ones that were buying the Screaming Eagle parts because we were so worried about our warranties. And the motor itself already had issues, but it's a new motor. There's always some little quirks that you gotta find, like the transferring of oil between the two. So Harley's sales went up. I mean, and they skyrocketed so freaking high. And us being the people that had to buy them is what sucks. And at that point, when you look at Indian was catching them in sales. And why hasn't the EPA gone after Polaris or Indian? Was it because they're so new or whatever reasons they have? But they went after Harley, and by Harley doing that, they benefited by $1 billion. And we had to spend all that money on Screaming Eagle parts that we found out were garbage anyways, and a lot of people said screw the warranty, because the problem was is dealers were installing these parts, and I mean, they weren't told. No one as a Screaming Eagle part. As a private person, if I'm sitting there buying these parts, why do I get punished if I'm putting them on there? Why can't my warranty be honored because I'm out of EPA compliance, but it wasn't installed by the dealership, so I don't have any warranty on the part I installed. So if the part I installed fails, but why don't they want to back their warranty on the motor itself, because they already put a high flow air filter and then they had a really choked up exhaust. And if you guys don't know, on these Milwaukee 8s, they already have the exhaust valves open very slightly compared to the intake, so it inhales, but it has a problem exhaling until you get the right cam in there. And then even then, you put the wrong cam in the bike, it voids your warranty. So the amount of people putting Screaming Eagle torque cams into their motorcycles and some putting the horsepower cams into their motorcycles is drastically increased because they think it's the best thing in the world, when it's really not. There's other cams that are way better for the motorcycle, but I feel like some people convince themselves that it's a good cam because they don't really have any other options. Because I've done my research, 100% I'm putting a redshift cam in my bike because it allows the exhaust valve to open a little bit more, to be more even with the intake, so you get that good flow. The M8 has a lot of power at its disposal, but it's being choked out, and you get punished if you do decide to do anything else that's not EPA compliant. So think about that though. If someone from Harley actually decided to leak that information to the EPA strategically so that they would get investigated, is the EPA actually looking into Harley? Harley gets fined $12 million and makes $1 billion off of it. Just let that sink in. So that's my conspiracy for y'all. I think that Harley decided that they were going to release some information about their non-EPA compliant tuners because the market was falling, and ended up someone releasing the information. EPA is like, should take a look into this, because they haven't looked into really any other bike manufacturer yet. Ended up getting slapped with a $12 million fine that netted them $1 billion. It's a slap on the wrist to make a shitload of money. But it's getting dark out, and I don't know how well you guys can see the light right now. That was my little conspiracy theory for y'all today. If you agree with me, give this video a thumbs up if you've never really thought about it. I have a great video coming up on Thursday. It's about the Milwaukee 8, because I discovered something awesome that most people haven't really noticed, or if they haven't really looked. But for now, that's all I got. Let me know down in the comments section what you think about this conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's conspiracy or anything like that, because it's extremely based on fact. They kind of are adding up, and it worries me. It wouldn't be the first time we had corruption in the government, or unless they didn't know they were part of it. Who freaking knows? As always, I hope you have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon tea, brunch, lunch, nightcap, crumpet, midnight snack, McGriddle, bacon sandwich, bacon and egg sandwich. And remember to always ride for freedom. You know, if your hand is bigger than your face, you have cancer? Do you know if your hand is bigger than your face, you have cancer?
This shit is old school. They say I'm not supposed to, but I make my own rules. Dawg, this shit is old school. Yo, bitch, man, that's old news. She been on my whole crew. Yeah, that chick is ran through. Ha. This shit sound like old tool. Pull up and I drop the roof, and that bitch a old school. These niggas acting brand new. I just keep it old.